This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give them the softest loungewear set, the real gift is this. And this. And this. This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give a gift that goes beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show.
We have an ace political panel, 2 of the best. Joe Concha, Fox News contributor, and Joe's new book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign. You can pre-order it. I didn't finish it. Big Beautiful Campaign, unburdened by what has been. I missed that last phrase. Sorry, Joe.
Oh, of course.
And my pal David Webb, Fox News contributor and great Sirius XM talk show host. Gentlemen, I don't know if you heard any of the opening, but I want to pick up where I left off. Trump going to Paris for the reopening of the Notre Dame Church. Very big deal. Now, I see some commentary, it shows he's an internationalist and so forth. He's not an isolationist. That all may be true, all right? And, of course, Macron's government just fell, so Macron needs Trump. But here's the point. This is like the Al Smith dinner in Paris, okay? This is Trump's commitment to Catholicism, to Christianity, to religion, right? Because the Democrats, the left-wing Democrats, are anti-God, anti-religion. And you cannot have a great country, the USA, or any country without religion. You cannot have families without religion. You cannot have communities without religion. The left hates religion. Trump's going to Notre Dame. It's an international, global event, and he's making that statement. Joe Concha, I begin with you.
A whole chapter of my new book, and thanks for the promo, Larry, is on the Al Smith dinner, because I think it was that consequential. Because Kamala Harris blew it off and then sent that cringe video with the SNL cast member who was relevant back when, George H.W. Bush was president, right? Back in the early 90s, I suppose. And that was insulting to Catholics, right? And then meanwhile, Trump killed it, right? Remember the jokes that he told, white dudes for Harris, I'm not worried about them because their wives and their boyfriends will be voting for me. I mean, that's funny, right? So he embraced that evening. He embraced Catholics. Certainly Catholics came out in droves for him. It's a huge voting bloc. No president has ever won the White House without winning the Catholic vote, and Trump won it going away in this election because Kamala Harris decided that, well, they just weren't as important as courting, I guess, childless cat ladies. I mean, that's basically what this election came down to. And now that Trump's going to Paris and he's going to this grand reopening, and I was in that cathedral, many years ago, 2009. My wife took me to Paris for the first time, and I was just blown away by it. The fact that he's going to be there, and Joe Biden, where's he? Nowhere to be found. Kamala Harris, you could find Edward Snowden before you could find the vice president of the United States at this point. He's showing leadership. He's negotiating already with Mexico and Canada and threatening tariffs. He's showing leadership here. He's just acting president right now, even though he hasn't been sworn in.
That is all true. David Webb, the Edison exit poll for the TV networks had Catholic voters backing Trump 59 to 39 for Harris. 20 points, David Webb. In 2020, Joe Biden carried the Catholic vote. In 24, Harris lost it by 20 points. And I'm saying, as Joe Concha suggests, this is the Al Smith dinner in Paris. That's the way I look at this politically. And he is making a statement, and it really isolates the left on this issue of religion, Christianity, Catholics, the whole 9 yards. What do you think, David Webb?
I think it even goes beyond that, Larry. And like Joe, and I've done it a number of times, I've been to the cathedral at Notre Dame over the years prior to the fire. It's a bigger image and a bigger fixture in world history, the cathedral at Notre Dame. There are certain structures that carry that. And just in the way the Al Smith dinner carries that gravitas, Notre Dame goes beyond just Catholics. It goes to history. It goes to culture. It's something that people define for themselves in whatever way they go there and see it. And to go there shows that, one, yes, you do care. Two, you're saying America is present. To your point, he always said America first, not America alone. Mm-hmm. Trump's not an isolationist. He's a realist, a pragmatist. And by doing this, he says, Europe, America is still here, but the terms of the deal need to be adjusted to where we are in modern times. And your point about Macron needing him, I think the best thing to do is play it nice with Macron. Macron is being walked off the stage because of the worldwide election rejection of left policies. When you start to look at countries around the world, not every one of them, but in the modern world, the first world countries, there's a lot of rejection of these failures, whether it's north in Canada, you look at Pierre Poilievre or others who are stepping up in the western provinces, or in Europe.
Listen, I got, did I lose him? Is he still there? Is Webb still there? All right, we'll get David Webb back. I want to read, if Joe Concha still there, I want to read my pal Ira Stoll, a very, very smart guy, columnist, and so forth. He says, if Trump is able to help fuel with wise policies a new American religious revival that reverses the long downward trends, he'll have achieved something as remarkable as Macron's restoration of Notre Dame to its full level of glory. In other words, I'll come back to this point. This is something that William F. Buckley, used to talk about all the time. He wrote a book about it. He wrote at least one book about it. You just can't have a healthy country without religion. And by the way, religious freedom is very much a part of that. And I happen to be Catholic, but I'm not saying it has to be Catholic. But you have to have religion of some kind and religious freedom if you're going to have the right values in order to make the right moral decisions in life. Teach your kids and have families and have good communities and so forth and so on. That's what this is about, the possibility of an American religious revival. And Trump would be part of that.
Absolutely, Larry. It reminds me of Dan Quayle, right? Remember, to go back to the early 90s again, he did not like the fact that Candace Bergen and Murphy Brown was celebrating the fact that she was a single mom. And see how easy this is? Anybody can do it. And his point was that you had cities like Chicago crumbling because of so many single moms trying to raise a child, and without a father figure there, then it just doesn't work. There's a very good chance they could either end up in jail, and they're certainly not going to get the education that they deserve because they're probably going to join a gang. There's all stats around this that are just mind-boggling, and that all starts your religion. And the fact that Donald Trump also won, a substantial amount of the Latino vote, I think he switched that about 20 points from the last election as well. Latinos, Hispanics, they are deeply religious people, and I'm sure that they embrace Trump on this front as well. But, yeah, religion is what makes a country, and to your point, it could be Judaism, it could be Catholicism, it could be Protestant. It does not matter. That is something you could teach your kids off of. My kid's going to get communion this year, my 9-year-old, and it's going to be a proud moment because I know that, all right, great, we've now pass the torch in terms of he'll raise his family one day also as Catholic and teach all Catholic values. That the Ten Commandments, let's put it this way, it's held up pretty well, right? I mean, for something that was written a long time ago.
Yes.
Follow those things, you're going to be okay.
That's a keeper. That's a wonderful point, Joe. That is a wonderful point. David Webb, those 10 Commandments have held up very nicely down through the last couple thousand years, okay? They've held up. But you need 10 Commandments. You need a religious backing. You need religion and what it teaches in order to make moral decisions in life. The difference between right and wrong, okay? It's not a political issue. It's a moral issue. But where does that come from? It comes from religion. And I'm just saying, once again, I'll read what Ira Stoll wrote, Substack. If Trump is able to fuel with wise policies a new American religious revival that reverses the long downward trend, he'll have achieved something remarkable. I mean, Ira is exactly right, David Webb.
No, absolutely. And, the Ten Commandments, again, just it's a set of doctrines that applies to life for anyone. Your point, or both your points about whatever the denomination, what are those values? It's a value system that comes from that to make better moral decisions. And in a truly pluralistic society, not the fake left diversity, equity, and inclusion BS, but in a truly pluralistic society like we have in this country where we protect religious freedom, we've demonstrated that more common values has helped make this country great, right? Whatever it was that somebody believed, look at what holds us together, and then what we go out around the world and share with them. We're the example, so other countries have followed our example. We got it from the Magna Carta, but it went back to other countries who wrote parts of their constitutions and systems of laws saying, hey, America's got something here. And that comes from that Judeo-Christian foundation, those Western Hellenic values that you and I have talked about before. And, look, let me throw a hat tip for George Carlin in here, who did a great bit back in the day on the Ten Commandments. You can boil this thing down to basically 3, but they all apply.
They all apply. It's really. By the way, I'm going to throw Muslimism in there, Mohammedanism in there. It's peaceful, assuming it's peaceful, not the terrorist branch. I mean, Trump carried Dearborn, Michigan. Remember, he carried Dearborn, Michigan. Yeah. That's the Muslim center. Remember, everybody said Joe Biden was giving Israel a hard time in order to win the Muslim vote in Michigan. Well, guess who won the Muslim vote in Michigan? Trump.
There's such an important point here, Larry. If I could just interject for a moment, I'll keep it short. Just like any other group, black, women, we're not all monolithic. The Sufi Muslims run the majority of mosques around the world. They're not the powerful because they're the peaceful versus those that are the post-Muhammad, and you have pre-Muhammad, post-Muhammad, and what happened after the Hadith was written. And there are a lot of Muslims and there are a lot of Christians living in Muslim lands that coexisted over hundreds of years. And if we get back to that, then their values, the pre-Muhammadan values, are actually still there. Think of Iran as Persia. Think of the Ottoman Empire prior. It just, when you look at this, again, value systems that are more aligned, whether it's a Christian from the Middle East or a Muslim or a Jew.
And Joe Concha, you were saying, or somebody was saying, Latinos go to Mass. How about that? Hispanics go to Mass. I think the Democratic Party has forgotten that.
And they can't. I mean, where's the coalition at this point, Larry? I mean, I look ahead to the next election, and J.D. Vance, probably your nominee if Trump has a successful presidency.
A Catholic convert. A Catholic convert, J.D.
That's
Vance.
right.
As I am 30 years ago. But yes,
interesting.
A Catholic convert.
So if Trump's winning, more and more black voters who are also religious and Latino voters, and he's getting the rank and file in unions, and he's owning the Catholic vote, what's left for the Democrats exactly? I mean, again, they're losing all of these cornerstones of groups that normally come out for them in high numbers, and now Trump's not only cutting into those margins, he's threatening to win them at some point. Not just Trump, if it's Vance or whoever the Republican nominee. I don't know what Democrats run on in 2028 because the abortion thing is vastly overrated as far as being an issue that women only vote monolithically on. They vote on safety. They want the border secure. They want their kids educated properly. And I just think they're in really big trouble unless they change their messaging in a hurry.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Come back. Got to talk about a couple things. Pete Hegseth, got to talk about that. And the Doge brothers, that's what I'm calling them, like the Blues Brothers. The Doge brothers, are they going to fix our fiscal mess in Washington, D.C.? We're talking to Joe Concha and David Webb. I'm Kudlow. Be right back.
Larry Kudlow.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show.
We are talking politics with Joe Concha, Fox News contributor. Joe's newest book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign, Unburdened by What Has Been. You can pre-order it, folks. And my pal David Webb, Fox News contributor and great Sirius XM talk show host. David Webb, what do you make of the Pete Hegseth story? It didn't look too good midweek, but then Trump came out and, endorsed him again with a full throat. He's picked up some new endorsements in the Senate. How do you read it, David?
I think it's progressing fairly well. This has been a case of trying to destroy Donald Trump via Pete Hegseth and Pete Hegseth's nomination. And that's the problem. It's unnamed sources. It's stories written by whatever. It's also the fact that his mom came out and said, look, and explained why her email that the New York Times printed was written. And Americans react to that. We also believe in redemption. And Pete, went through a rough patch in life. He's talked about it, and he got it together. And in America, we actually reward that by saying good for you and step forward. Plus, this is someone who's got a good mix of military history and command history, as well as warfighter. But also, when you look at Princeton and Harvard, Kennedy School of Government, the left used to go nuts. Oh, my God, you're educated at Princeton and Harvard, you're Ivy League, and now you're evil if you do that and do it successfully. Well, I think if Joni Ernst comes around, this is someone that I will say needs to come to reality. That she comes around and steps out there, I think that's the last blocking point of any note. And I think it's disingenuous of her to focus on personal things with Pete when, in fact, the president should have his cabinet, and she's really standing in the way of Donald Trump.
That's a good point, by the way. She's going to be pivotal. Shame on her if she votes against him. Shame on her. Katie Britt of Alabama came out for him finally. I mean, said she had to meet with him. She met with him. She came out in favor of him. Joe Concha, I think we need Hegseth at the Defense Department because we need him at the Defense Department. We need him.
This call is no longer being recorded.
Joe, did we lose Joe? All right. We still have David Webb?
Still here.
All right. They're both there. Joe Concha, my point here is we need Hegseth at the Defense for a lot of reasons. First of all, he wants the Defense Department to be warriors, not DEI. But also, he understands the whole peace through strength issue, top to bottom, as a military man, as a decorated combat veteran. By the way, I didn't know this. Apparently, one of the New York Times or the Washington Post, maybe it was the Washington Post, is denigrating his Bronze Stars. Yeah. He fought in Iraq and he fought in fact, he volunteered to go into Afghanistan. That's pretty disgusting. I mean, the guy's a war hero, knows the Pentagon very well, understands the doctrine of peace through strength, and understands that we need warriors, not DEI.
Pete actually redeployed himself to go back into battle. He's like the opposite of Tim Walz, who ran the minute he was deployed and left his unit. Right.
Good point.
The current Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, this guy goes in for a medical procedure, and we don't know where he is for a week. He didn't let anybody know. That is a fireable offense. And yet, no, nobody gets fired in the Biden administration. The bottom line with Pete is that, yeah, you're right about these attacks. It was the Washington Post. And they said, bronze medals aren't worth what they used to be worth. So it's not really a big deal. They got 2 of them. I guarantee you the writer of that piece never remotely got near a battlefield and was shot at. That's certainly for sure. And then you have Brian Stelter over on CNN. He says, I wrote a whole book on Fox News years ago, and I just realized I had all this stuff on Pete Hegseth that I did not put in the book. And it's like, no, you didn't. So he had 10 anonymous sources, all at Fox, who he says, he's drinking on the job. I don't know if you've ever done a morning show, a 4-hour one for that matter, like Fox and Friends Weekend, which I just got off of. You're not showing up for that in any sort of incapacitating way. And by the way, Stelter didn't reach out to Will Cain, Rachel Campos-Duffy, me. I'm on that show every week, basically, to ask me about it. So you didn't talk to anybody, Stelter. You're making this stuff up to try to hurt Trump through Pete, and it's not going to work. I think he does get through now because Trump is backing him, and he's not backing down.
I'll just say,
Larry, if I may, I've traveled with Pete, the Patriot Awards from the very first one. Also, they're accusing him of being all of this outside of the studio. Well, I can tell you that I have never seen this behavior outside of the studio.
Never once.
I've sat with Pete for interviews on the morning show. I've sat with him on set for my show, which is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've never smelled alcohol. Never smelled alcohol. And as somebody who's 30 years sober and recovering, I would know it if I saw it. I would know the behavior if I saw it, and I'd certainly know the smell if I saw it. I've never seen it. So I just don't buy into that. David Webb is right. We all go through tough patches in life, okay? We all go through it, but that doesn't mean that you can't serve later on when you get your life straightened out. But it just feels better, Dave Webb. It just feels better. The same as the Kash Patel nom for the FBI, which I think Kash Patel would be absolutely fabulous on. He's regular on this radio show, and he's a regular on my TV show. I think both those guys are going to get in, and I think it's crucial for Trump. You're right. Trump's got to get him in because if you lose 1 or 2 of those guys, they're going to clip you down one after another. You're going to lose the whole thing. Last word.
Look, it's a team, and this is the thing. You need a team, FBI, DOJ, all of this. And if you take out one member of the team, just like if you take out the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, whatever, what happens? You affect the team's performance, and that's the goal of the left.
You guys are wonderful. Can't thank you enough. Joe Concha, as always. David Webb, thanks so much. Folks, we'll take a quick break, and we'll talk some economics with Breitbart's John Carney on the other side.